hunger.
Okay.
And in the future, we discussed what we will do about that. Zero hunger. It's a challenge, isn't it? It's about how to improve nutrition and how to promote sustainable agriculture. It's the main focus in our storytelling here. And of course, it's very important to make all of us need to survive. It's regarding survival. We need food. And we talked a lot about how it is in our community, Munkedal, and our possibilities in the future. And as you know, we have a lot of nature, a short piece of coastline, with a lot of nature and green areas. A lot of possibilities in green nutritions. Yes, you know what I mean. But, of course, there's a lot of challenges in the future. Some of them are to create a knowledge and a know-how how to do this within and including all inhabitants in our community. Because, as you know, we have different cultures, knowledges, interests, importances, and so on for this kind of area.
There's a chain of knowledge about getting the food from the table, from the field to the table.
Yes.
That chain is broken in modern communities and in the modern life. People don't know from where. If I want some wheat for my bread, from where comes the wheat?
Yes.
If I want a steak on my table, is it steak? Is it something you buy in the store, or is it a living animal from the beginning?
Yes.
That's the missing chain. That's why we have this all the discussions in many places.
Yes, it is. Because we haven't the knowledge or the interest how the food is coming on your table from the beginning. And what can I do? And we have different interest and importance. Look at this. We took it for granted in some ways.
Then you have another opposition of it also. If the shit hits the fan, if the electricity goes down, or if the diesel is ending in some way, how do you get the food to the old? I am living in the countryside. There's no problem. But if you're living in the central Munkedal or in another place where the only houses, or in big cities,
in an apartment.
Yes, you don't have food for more than maybe one day.
Yes, that's true. And of course, we know that it's different cultures, religions, backgrounds, history, and all that kind of things that påverkar.
Influence.
Yes, us, all of us. And so we talked about how we will do now, how we will get and reach the importance and the interest to all our inhabitants to reach zero hunger, if it will be a problem in the future. So there are some important areas, knowledge, and we had to do some educations, of course, in different ways. Practice by learning, practice by learning, and stop the electricity for 1 week or 2 or 3, I don't know. We have to be aware what's in it for me, what's happening when the day comes. So a lot of things: education, practicing. We talked about to see the values. What about the outcomes? Our health. It's very important, that area. And we need to engage everybody, all the inhabitants, in this. And we think we will reach that if you can look at the problems and also the values, of course, to involve all the inhabitants in it.
And in this also we have the new inhabitants from the last year, who has a different culture in what they're eating. Some of them doesn't eat pigs, some of them eating more beans, something like that. So we have a new, many new crops that we can produce in Sweden.
Yes.
And that's make a new business for the new inhabitants also, because we Swedish are not used to raise these crops in these ways that we need. So we have a new business opportunity for the new Swedes also.
Yes, and to learn from each other.
Yes.
Take care of all the knowledge and all things. Yeah.
Because Swedish farming is pretty good in what we can raise and where and how, but we are not. We are a little bit conservative in new crops.
Yeah.
And in new ways to raise different crops.
So in summary, we have to look at all the threats, and of course all the possibilities with that kind of values that will come out of it. Yeah.
Thank you. And we actually forgot to. So
Tell them about the forest in the United States.
Questions?
I think the immigrants knows a lot about 2 weeks without electricity.
Yeah.
I think
Yes, but
they will easier survive 2 weeks without electricity than a original Swedish who's living in an apartment.
electricity and water, of course. Some of them are used to it, but we are not. So we can learn to each other how to see the values of it and what can we do without it.
I had refugees at Innovatum practicing in companies, and I talked with the guy and said, "How do you find Sweden in December?" "What do you mean?" "Oh, it's so cold." "I love cold. It's so hot in Syria." "Okay, what about the darkness?" "What do you mean?" "Oh, it's so dark almost 24 hours." "You got electricity."
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the point of it. Yes.
Another thing I learned from immigrants, I think I was never seen it as a an issue before, but when he showed me that we actually use clean water to dust out in our toilets,
Yeah.
what the hell are you doing? Using clean water to your toilets?
Yes.
And I've never. That was a wake-up call for me. Yeah.
So you have a lot of things to do.
Yeah,
A lot
we
of
can
things
learn from
left.
them. That was my issue.
Yes, and we have to be aware
Yes.
of it.
I also had a guy from the driest place in Mexico visiting Trollhättan, and we had dinner above the Göta älv. And they asked me, "What are you doing with the sweet water?" "What do you mean?" "What are you doing with the sweet water?" "We do nothing, it runs to the sea." And he was also like this.
Yes.
And that's a new
Why don't
thinking.
you use it?
No, it's a new thinking, even for me, that, okay, it's a resource for,
Yeah, resource and
yes.
On a little different note, I feel like you've mentioned earlier, that it is a very short stretch of very rich nature that we have there in your commune. It doesn't have to overlap with agriculture and forestation and nature. There was this, there's a company in United States, like many others. They are running, they're taking funds from the commune and taking support from the government and engaging the locals, the local people. And so these people are encouraged to adopt the parks and recreational areas or the forest, piece of forest. They don't own it, but then they organize events to bring in the industry, like Microsoft, companies like Microsoft, Google employees. So they're also benefiting with the green line and meeting those deadlines. And at the same time, they are doing tree plantation and forestation without disturbing the agriculture. And so that kind of symbiotic relationship.
yes. I think everybody needs to be responsibility, working together because of this zero hunger. Also the big companies, of course, because they have the economical resources and the knowledge and need some knowledge as well.
Mm.
Yes. So together we can solve it.
I have a comment also on the on the food issue, because one of the things that I found out, for instance, if you eat a Danish sausage from Danish Crown, they send the pig intestines. They send them to China to sort them, and then back. You know, that's just an example of what you're talking about. We don't know where it comes from. We don't know that they travel around the world, and for me, it's kind of insane.
Crazy.
But that's another problem, because when you get something on a ship,
Yeah.
it's so cheap to take it over half the world and back again.
Yeah,
Just as
exactly.
shrimps that's going from Sweden and Denmark going to Africa
Yeah,
to put off the outside and not back to Europe.
yeah. And there was also the story about the soya protein being, the reason why they cut down a lot of the rainforest is because they need the soya protein
Yes.
for feeding the cows in Europe and North America, in these places. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you.